So remember, this whole chapter after we graphed, what have we been doing? Quadratics, solving quadratics, right? Quadratics, we're solving them, we're finding out what x equals, and we've learned some different ways to do that, right? We have factored and solved, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We've sad mapped our way out to solve for x.
Yes, ma'am.
We know that if we graph it, we can look at it and find the answers. What are the answers if I graph it?
Yes, ma'am.
What points? Intercepts. The intercepts. Good job. All right, so now we're going to talk about a way. What are we doing? Yes, keep that. So now, let me see. Tell me what's special about this trinomial. Keep going.
X squared.
It square dances, creates a perfect square trinomial, which factors nicely for me because it factors as the square root of the first sign, squared. That's the difference of two squares. This one's perfect square trinomial. So remember I told you, y'all were like, do we have to memorize that or can we just group it each time and factor it? And I said, there's going to come a point when you're going to have to know it. Welcome to that point. All right, so you're going to have to recognize perfect square trinomial, which is what this is. So remember the rules. The ends are perfect squares. The second sign is a plus. And it has to square dance. If you take the square root of each end, x, 5, multiply and double, you get what's in the middle. Do y'all remember? Okay. So this is quite convenient because if I have an equation that looks something like this, I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 15, and I need to solve it. So before, not yet. Before we would make it equal 0 and try to factor and solve it, right? But if you move that 15 over, it's not going to factor. But the way it's written right now, do you recognize that that's a perfect square trinomial?
Yes.
So it factors as x plus 3 squared equals 15. Can you now solve that? You're absolutely right. I'm going to square root because x is only written one time. I don't have two different factors there. I can square root my way and work that way. So, square root, which is what we spent the last two lessons on, right? And then I can just move the 3. So what this section is going to teach us how to do is if this is not the certain number that makes it a perfect square trinomial, it doesn't square in. We're going to talk about how to find the number that is and force the equation to be a perfect square trinomial so that we can do it.
What if it's 3?
I'm going to show you. So, let me ask you this. Well, right now I gave it to you set up like that. But it may not always be like that. All right, so let me ask you this first. YouTube viewers, I'm sorry, we did not record any of that. Yes. That's okay. We found to find the C that makes it a perfect square trinomial. Y'all told me take half of the middle, so we did divided by 2 and then we squared it.
I did that.
Yes. It would not be a perfect square trinomial any longer because remember, you have guys, you have to double the square roots of the ends to get the middle answers, not the outside terms. Yep. Let me give you one more and use your newfound formula and see if you can do it. Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to find a good C, meaning a C that makes it a perfect square trinomial, and then I want you to write it in factor form. So factor it.
No.
Close, not double it, but 8 squared. So 64 is my C. Because I took B divided by 2 and squared. How does it now factor?
X squared minus 16x.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Minus 8x.
Square root of the
Oh,
first.
hang on. So,
First sign. Last. Yes, ma'am.
Instead of doing all that, is there a way that we can just take the egg and put it right there instead of putting it in the second floor?
No, because of what we're fixing to do. This is only a portion of what we're doing. Okay. I want you to take a look at something for me.
yes, ma'am.
If I have
Yes, ma'am.
this. No, well, okay, let's do this. Let's not say if I have this. I have this. And I want to know if I can factor and solve that as a 6. Why?
It's the zero product property.
For one, there are not two numbers, remember multiply A and C together to get 4. There are not two numbers that multiply to 4 but add to negative 12. Do we all agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not factorable. It's also not a perfect square trinomial because even though the ends are perfect squares, it doesn't square, multiply, and double. So, what's the problem? What's keeping this from being factorable? The C, the 4, right? I'm going to call that. So I'm going to say, I'm going to check, by the way, these are kind of some steps going along here. Okay. Leave a little room above this because we're going to add a step, a very first step to this in a minute. Go back and do, but I don't want to confuse you just yet. All right, so we're going to check C. If it's a good C, I can go ahead and factor and solve it, right?
Correct.
Yes, thank you. But then I'm not really completing the square. Completing the square, I'm going to have a bad C, which this is. Bad C means it does not make a perfect square trinomial. No PST. If it's bad, move it. Move it. What do I mean by move it?
You move it.
Ow! So I'm going to put it over on the other side. Let me do it right here. So I'll have x squared minus 12x. I'm going to leave a little hole right here where it was.
Move 1 plus 1, is that correct?
And I'm going to move the negative 4 over here, and I'm going to leave a little hole on this side, and I'll show you why in just a minute. It's not a PST.
Perfect square.
Yeah.
Pacific Standard Time.
I'm going to write this a little bit better, I think, down below it, so y'all can really see. Move it, not 1 plus 1. So,
It looked like 1 plus.
When we come to a non-important part, may I use the restroom?
yes. I moved that 4 to the other side, but the important thing is it becomes negative when I move it, right? Because I have to subtract it from both sides in order to move it. Right? So now here's my equation. So now what I want to do is find a good C. Close. Oops, let's go next one. Why, Donovan?
36 squared. The square root is 6 multiplied by 2, 12.
Gotta square it.
Do it, son.
Half of the middle.
36.
Okay, don't look at this part of the equation. Right now, just focus on what we were doing here. Okay? What is the C that makes the square dance? 36.
But it would be 6.
Okay, where did I lose you?
Okay, whenever, like, I got that explanation, okay, so, what, we have to use that equation, so you put B into the equation, divided by 2, and multiply by 2 to get rid of.
Now multiply by
I
2
mean,
squared.
square root, okay.
Okay, so this is exactly the same as what we did a minute ago. Where we said what number would have to go there to make it a perfect square trinomial.
Oh.
It's the same thing.
What's
So
the
is
C
that
equal?
That's how you find a good C. Remember that little formula? I said, how would y'all come up with it?
Yeah,
You take half of the middle and you square it.
okay.
So negative 6.
6.
Half of 12 is 6 and you square it. So this good C,
Oh, okay.
I'm going to add it, but I have to add it to both sides. You're exactly right. Why, Olivia? You got to do that because it's an equation. It's got to stay equal. So if I throw 36 on one side, I got to throw 36 on the other.
Oh.
So I'm going to add 36 and 36. Yes.
What number is it?
Well, because I'm putting it on both sides of the equation. So I'm putting 36 here, but I'm also putting 36 here. As long as you can do it to both sides. Yeah, it's not changing the value. All right.
No.
Now it's smooth sailing from here. Oh, I want another color. Factor and solve. Look at the left side. I did all that work so that I could factor a perfect square trinomial. How does the left side, this is why I said you don't want to skip any steps, because you got to add that C to both sides, not just this one. But how does it factor? X
6,
minus 6
Yeah.
equals,
32.
can you solve that?
Yes.
Square root. You're absolutely right, square root. Now we take what we learned in the previous section.
Wait, how do you get 32? Because
4, negative 4 and 36. You think so? Really?
Everything harder, everyone else is
yeah, that's kind of.
I just think this is easier.
All right, are we done?
All right, no, solve. What is X? The whole point is that we know what X equals.
X equals 6.
You gotta, you gotta do the, yeah.
Well, but
X minus 6.
you got to break that radical down. I told y'all nothing goes away in here. What'd you say?
Becomes 8.
Yep, so it's 16 and 2.
Why did that not be wrong?
So it's plus or minus 4 root 2. Now add the 6.
Plus or minus.
Don't combine them. They can't combine because one has, that would be like adding 6 and 4x. So 4 has something with 2, so don't add it with the 6. Just leave it like that. There are my two answers.
2 answers.
6 plus 4 root 2 and 6 minus root 2. Now, I'll tell you, remember I told you to leave a little bit of space right above as a first step? Before you ever complete the square, this does not happen often, but it does happen. If there's a leading coefficient, what do I mean by leading coefficient?
The number in front of
The number in
In
front
front
of
of-
something
In
leading.
front of what? The x squared. It leads the equation. If it has an a other than 1, you must divide everything by a before you complete the square. You can't complete the square this way. I would have to teach you a way more complicated formula. So it's easier to divide everything by the a. Yes.
You make it an easy problem?
That is the right
You want to be challenged, makes us better.
You want to be down.
To make myself better. Why make it hard?
All right. Y'all tell me when you're ready and we'll do one. I'll let y'all catch up on this one and then we'll do one start to finish. Here we go. The directions say solve by completing the square. Right? Y'all asked for one that had a leading coefficient, so I gave you one.
Wait, so we have to divide?
So let your first step, yes, you do not want to complete the square unless your leading coefficient is 1, so make it 1.
Don't we be on both sides?
You do, yes, Libby, that's a good point. In this case, there's a 0 over there, okay, but there may not always be. When you take care of that leading coefficient, you want to make sure it hits every single term on the left and the right. Show I have. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Divided by 2.
Which is it?
Now, my question is, does it square dance?
No,
Why?
because 7 is not squared.
7's bad. Bad C, what do I do with it? Get rid of it, move it, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
So, the right one is 2. So could we just minus 5?
2 is not the correct.
It's not?
No.
How not?
4 is actually gonna be the good C, so if you wanted to subtract 3 to start with, yes, you could do that.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
That's funny you say that because, Miss Twitty was just talking about, she was telling her honors pre-cal class this year, they were practicing completing the square. She said, you know, you actually don't have to do both steps, you could just do what you just said, they just went mind blown. So good job. All right, so I'm gonna move the C. Okay, so my good C is what? 4, because it's 4 over 2 squared, which is 4. It goes to both sides, to the right and to the left. Factor the left side. What do you get?
X plus 2 squared. X plus 2 squared.
Equals
Negative 3.
-3. What's your question?
No, we did this.
It's okay. That's
I
okay.
don't know how you did it.
This part of the C?
No.
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 That's very
Well,
different.
yeah.
This. Okay, so it's the square root of the first, the first sign, and the square root of the last. With a square on. Every time. Every time it square dances its first quaternion, that's how you factor it. What now? You square root both sides. I can do a little something. What can I
X
do?
plus 2.
Yay!
X plus 2 equals 3. No, square root, no, it's not, yeah, something like that.
Then that's the answer.
Dang, bro, this is easy one, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you